All right, everyone, thank you all for joining. I appreciate you joining on a Friday during your lunchtime. Because of my mistake, unfortunately, we do not have the chat running right now, but that's okay. If you have any questions, please just kind of hold those until the end and we will get your questions answered. We appreciate Liz Simpson from the System Office for joining us to talk about openNCCC. Liz, take it away.
All right, thank you. Hey, I can see that actually. What did you do?
I was annotating, so we could chat that way.
Okay. Let's see if that works. As we're a small enough group at the moment, I think we can accommodate the microphones. But yeah, that is very nifty. Anyway, yes, my name is Liz Simpson. I work for the distance learning team in the System Office. So we're made up of Kathy Davis. She is our Associate Vice President of Distance Learning Technologies. We also have Colleen Turnage. She is our Director of Library Services. Kuna Maneja, she is our Program Assistant. Joy Barefoot, she is our Business and Technology Applications Analyst. And there's myself. I am the Distance Learning Technology and Accessibility Specialist. And I have come today to talk about openNCCC. So let me get the link. Oh, we don't have a chat. That's right. So there's the link right there. So openNCCC.ncommunitycolleges.edu. So feel free to open that up. So I'm going to be sharing a bunch of, to get us started, I'm going to be sharing background on the platform, how it came to be, our plans for the future, and then we're going to jump into an orientation of the platform. So as part of that, we're going to chat about access, collaboration, Creative Commons licenses, support options, the databases, and anything else that you would like to hear about. And if you have any questions, just jump in with your microphone, as we don't have the chat feature at the moment. And logistically, it's hard to see while I'm sharing anyway. And if you're feeling really ambitious, you can annotate. So for practical purposes, openNCCC is kind of the next generation of the NC lore. So in 2007, the North Carolina Community College system initiated a learning object repository, and that allowed for the sharing of digital resources across the 58 colleges. So some additional North Carolina institutions were invited to participate, and that repository became the NC lore. So the NC lore was decommissioned, and in 2020, that was migrated, the relevant, timely, the material that still functioned was brought over to openNCCC. We did not include K-12 collections, flash files, outdated materials, things that clearly weren't used anymore. And then in addition, we sort of remade it into an open educational resource collaboration platform. So our aim, and this is right from the governance documents, is to offer a comprehensive infrastructure that provides high quality OER content and the opportunity for collaboration around the adaptation, evaluation, and instructional needs of faculty and learners. So big takeaways, the distance learning team's goal is to provide the infrastructure. In the short term, we're managing content, providing access, but as we'll explore in a little bit, our goal is to sort of bring up some steering committees to help manage the content. So this is our mission statement, again, right from our governance documents. So openNCCC is a library of open educational resources to promote the exploration, creation, and collaboration with the goal of enriching teaching and learning in North Carolina and around the world. The content consists of a variety of learning formats. There we go. that supplement courses, provides information and training, including but not limited to links to videos, websites, ebooks, webinars, and articles. So we're going to take a look at the collections in a little bit. They're changing all the time. We are bringing in things really as quickly as we can to make it as robust as possible. Oh, so to get us all on the same page, this is our working definition of OER, and this comes from the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. So OER are teaching, learning, and research materials in any medium, digital or otherwise, that reside in the public domain or have been released under an open license that permits no cost access, use, adaptation, and redistribution by others with no or with limited restrictions. So what that means for us as practitioners is the material that you'll find in openNCCC was meant to be shared and used for educational purposes. So sometimes the scope is limited. So let's say I am a professor and I don't want people to edit my textbook. I just want them to use it. I can do that. And it is our obligation to follow their wishes. But we're allowed to use it for educational purposes. Everything there was meant to be used by us for our teaching practices. So we have a variety of goals for the future, all of which we are pursuing. So at the most foundational, we are working on expanding the collections to allow for easy access to databases and allow for the integration of materials directly into the LMSs. So we're working on, right now, we're working on expanding our Pressbook collection. So the initial wave of Pressbook was added maybe a month ago at this point. It was about 650 textbooks that we brought in. And it looks like we'll be able to bring in a few hundred more. So we're hoping to wrap that up next week. We have some licensed collections. There's the vScope Explorer collection, which is a microscopy collection. StatRef, that's a nursing and health allied database. We're working on bringing in some things from the VLC. So we are trying to make this as relevant and timely as possible. We're also encouraging the use of the platform. So I host training through the VLC on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10. We have brochures and distribution materials if anybody wants to see that. And we currently have the LTI connection for Moodle, Canvas, and Blackboard operational. And the engineers are working on D2L and Sakai. And this connection lets instructors pull content right into the classroom. So we want to grow at a sustainable speed and address bugs or problems as they come up. We have governance materials. They were approved by legal in August. And if you've ever done that, that was quite a project. And if you're curious, all of that is on the homepage of openNCCC at the bottom by the policies. So in that documentation, we're describing the mission, vision, licensing, acceptable use, submission guidelines, and the beginnings of the steering committees. And that is our next big project, is to bring in additional people to help us curate the content. All right, so now we're going to move into the live site. So I will continue to share my screen and I'll walk everybody through the platform. So feel free to follow along if you wish, and just, oh yeah, we only got a few people. Just turn on your microphone if there's something you'd like to see or if you have any questions. So here is my rough outline of what I'd like to cover for the rest of our time today. So we're going to start with the access. We're going to look at Creative Commons licenses, the brain, collaboration opportunities, our databases, the support we have, how to integrate things into the classroom. And if we have time, we'll wrap up with OpenAuthor. OpenAuthor is the authoring platform of the platform. So let me get rid of this. Does anybody have any questions right now? All right, if anything pops up, just let me know. So your first step to access the authoring tools, the curation tools, the private collections, and the LTI integration, you'll need to register. All you need to do, so I'm logged in. I'm not going to log out because I don't want to risk not being able to get back in. If you are not logged in, you will see a sign in register button right here in the top right corner. If you are logged in, either you'll have a picture that you've loaded, or it will be a little circle with an outline of a person. So your first step is to register if you haven't already. So you'll need to set up use your school email, the one that ends in .edu. That is the one that will let you have access to everything. So don't use your Gmail, Hotmail, whatever else you've got. Use your school email address. And you'll get an automated email that bounces back. Sometimes, depending on your school's firewalls, it may take a minute or two. If you run into any issues, let me know. Occasionally, we have to kind of push it through. So if you haven't already, go ahead and do that, and that will open up the wide world of what we've got here. So you will land on this search bar right here. I recommend that you start your search fairly broadly. So start with a few keywords or just a single keyword and see what comes up. So let's just search open educational resources. So this will pull up materials that are tagged as open educational resources. 9 times out of 10, it's training materials. It's books about OER or using OER or things like that. Perfect. So I just searched things about open educational resources. And the first thing that came up is a book. This is one of the press books. Yeah, this is one of the press books that we brought up. But we've got over 1,500 results. So these are all materials about OER that have been shared with us to use. So, right, this is a textbook, Making Open Educational Resources, a guide for students by students. So this is the first place where you'll see the brain. We're going to talk about that again in a second. But the brain is a machine learning search engine, for a lack of better terms. There's a better phrase for it that escapes me right now. But it scrapes the databases and helps find similar information for you, just to help winnow out materials. Helps relevant stuff float to the surface in your search. So we have a little bit of an overview. The subject is education, material type is student guide. This comes from Ontario, the eCampus collection. And we've got a bunch of people who worked on this together. You see here is this conditional remix and share permitted is the Creative Commons license. So specifically, it is a by, non-commercial, share alike. If you don't know what that means, you can hover over the information bubble and it gives you a fast, plain language summary of what you're allowed to do. So in this case, I can use this book. I can use it, share it, change it. I can print it if I want. I cannot do so commercially, and I must share it back using the original Creative Commons license. So I can't take a chapter from their book and put it in a book I'm going to publish with a publishing house, right? I have to share it back using a Creative Commons license if I'm going to take something. But what that means is I can use it for educational purposes. And in contrast, this next one, this is a diagram by Anita Waltz from Virginia Tech. And this is a diagram about open access versus OER. This one is unrestricted use. Specifically, it is a CC BY. So I can do almost anything with this, even commercially, but I need to give Anita credit for her work. Right? I can't just take Anita's work and say it's mine. Last example, because you do see these occasionally. This is a textbook about open educational resources in the classroom. It was written by Linda Williams at Lumen Learning. So Lumen Learning is a group that makes OER textbooks and courses. And they label everything, read the fine print. Just kind of blanket statement, read the fine print. And what that means from a practical purpose is you need to open it and see exactly what it says. I know, like I've seen this one regularly before. I'm glad it came up. And this one, it labels page by page what you're allowed to do with the content. And everything I've seen is like a CC by, you know, give Linda credit, but you can use it for your classes without a worry. So let any questions so far before we start opening things? All right, so we're going to go up to the top. We're going to open up this book. And so we have the description. Here's the brain again. And so it's pulling up some other, it looks like textbooks. And then we can train the brain by saying, yes, this is similar, this is not similar. I can open it up, read descriptions. So I run training just on the brain. So I'm not gonna waste too much of our time together, but it is very handy. It is very handy. Other things to look at. So this one was just added. So this is when it was published. We added it to the collection a couple weeks ago, so it hasn't been used broadly yet. So this is a good example of a starter book. Over here, we have the course alignments tool. So a couple of the results that have been in here a little bit longer are filled out. What the course alignments tool is a tool that allows registered users to align content with courses. So if I was an instructor and I wanted this to recommend it to other instructors for a specific class, I could pull up the course alignments tool, and that pulls up the combined course library. And I'm not going to really do it because I don't want to mess anything up, but I can align it with a specific course. And then other users, if they search by that course, they will see that this book is good for that class. It doesn't force anything. It is a way of filtering results. So here's the evaluations area. So if you're logged in, you can give feedback on the book. You can add additional tags. You can leave comments. Please be kind. Yes, just please be professional and kind. So to see the book, I'm clicking on the View Resource button. So here we have this is a Pressbooks book. We've got the authors in here. This one we can read online only if the authors wish it. Some of them you can download in a variety of formats as well. I'll call that out if we bump into one that's that's a good example of that. So we have the first section is on openly licensed materials, creating materials, and it looks like this is associated with an assignment. So let's get out of here. And we'll take a look at the next one. This is the first three are actually fabulous examples of what we can find in here. So let's look at Anita's diagram. So I guess same area, it's not aligned yet, but it has been looked at 18 times and downloaded 4 times. And so now we're on her page, and to get to it, you just click on it, and that lets you print it, download it, whatever you need to do. And again, this is a CC BY item, so I could edit this, I could print this, and as long as I keep Anita's notation on the bottom, I'm doing what she wishes. So let's get out of there and let's poke at the last example here. Now, there's many more in here, but this is the last example for this particular search. So this is a textbook or a course, depending on how you want to define it. So it does have written assignments, but no ability to hand in anything. It just has the text. So like there's a discussion assignment, there's a syllabus in here. Let's see, there's some activities here along the end. So this is typical of a Lumen Learning book. So let's click on Module 2, an overview of copyright. All right, this one has a video and some text. And then we have licenses and attributions on the bottom, letting us know what we're allowed to do. Yeah, and so course content, authored by William Williams, it's a CC by. So we need to give Linda credit. So just because something says it is some rights reserved, always check, right? We want to follow the wishes of the authors, but usually you can, it's typically you have a lot of options in terms of what you're allowed to do. So let's get out of here. So that was an example of a search and some of the things that we'll find. So I like to go to the advanced search area so that we can search by course. So for example, let's do biology, Bio 90, you know, see what's been aligned with Bio 90. All right, 179 items. And again, this is like a crowdsourced book by the registered users. So people have said these 179 items are good for Bio 90. You pull it into your classroom through the LTI integration, which we'll get to in a little bit. This is just a search feature. Looks like we've got some videos for the most part. Yeah, it looks like a lot of videos, a lot of read the fine print videos. So for educational use, so we'd have to, so this material is allowed to be used and shared by educators for the purposes of instruction. We're not allowed to edit them, but we can use them. So let's go back. And we're really proud of our textbook collection. It's a big focus right now. We're trying to really beef it up. So where is my textbook button? I'm just going to pull them all up once my head gets on straight. Here we go, textbook. In search. All right, a little bit over 1,000 on a variety of subjects. Like we've found everything from biology to writing to welding. And if there's something you're looking for, let me know. I'll see what we can do to bring in something for you. All right, so this is another press book, 1, 2, 3, right? And it is from a school. I'm not familiar with MHCC, but it's a library with OER Press. And Mount Hood Community College. So again, like the OER book we looked at a few minutes ago, you can read it online. This one is downloadable as well as a digital PDF. Some of them have additional capabilities. It kind of depends on what the author wanted. So let's get out of here. And let me think about what else would be really good to see at the moment. You can always, so let's go back to the advanced search area. You can filter by the course, by subject area if you want to browse. This tends to be very big. Lots of items in these subject areas. If you're looking for assessments or syllabi or courses, you can do so. Most people I recommend when you're getting started start with some keywords, make it very broad, see what comes up, and then filter it from there. All right, any questions about that so far? All right, sounds good. So let's get out of here and let's take a quick look at the providers just to give us a high overview of what we've got. So Bozeman Science, that is a collection of primarily videos on science. British Columbia campus, a lot of writing materials. And so if something has more than about 10 resources, it pops up in this providers list. We do, so Georgia Virtual Learning is a big one, over 1,000 items. These tend to be interactive course modules. So very useful if that is what you're looking for. Khan Academy is in here. What else do I want to pull out? Oh, Rice University, that is OpenStax. It's owned by Rice University. If you just want to browse that collection, that's a collection of textbooks and teaching materials. Let's see. I want to call it Hippocampus. Hippocampus is NROC. So lots, over 6,000 content items. Again, wide variety of subjects. They tend to be very good. So if you ever are bored at 2 a.m. and want to browse something, that's a good one. And other things to note, TDS Health. If you're familiar with the StatRef collection, TDS Health is like the umbrella. StatRef is one of their suites of tools. We've also brought in Primal Videos, and a couple of their other tools. The names escape me at the moment. And VScope Explorer, that is a microscopy collection. So it is a collection of videos and interactive microscope simulations on biology, primarily anatomy and biology information. So let's get out of here. Let's take a look at the groups. So once you're registered, you can join groups, and they are collaborative spaces for registered users. So we have 26 at this point, I believe. If you're just getting started, I recommend that you join the distance learning community. So this is kind of it's a big one, almost 150 people, primarily DL admins, but it's really for anybody who is interested in distance learning. And this is a good example of what you can do with a group. So most of these groups are closed. That is not to keep real people out. That is to keep spam bots out of the discussion boards. So at least for the ones that I manage, I get a notification if somebody wants to join. I take a look. I make sure you are a real person with a real email. You're not some computerized Gmail address. And then I let you in. And once you're in, you can access the resources. So we have a bunch of materials from meetings. They can host discussion boards. So this is a nice alternative to a listserv. So people can sign up for email notifications. They can also turn that off and just come in whenever they want to see updates. It gives people a lot of options. We've got a membership list, some high-level information, and you can see like what has been done most recently. And these groups are a nice way for groups of people to collaborate on materials. So let's say I wanted to make a textbook with my department. I could make a group, put in an Openauthor item as a draft, and that would give us a space to collaboratively work on that together. So that is actually any questions about groups right now? All right, sounds good. That's actually a good segue. So let's take a look at OpenAuthor. So OpenAuthor is the native authoring tool. It is for building OER. And it functions a lot like the content editor inside any of the LMSs you use. You have to give it a title. And then you have the ability to make sections. The kind of meat and potatoes of what you're doing goes in here. There's an accessibility checker, the paste button, undo, redo, some basic formatting, all the heavy hitters you're used to. And you can attach attachments. And what's very nice about this is you can add information just for other instructors. So only people who are in openNCCC can see this. So the students get a clean, simple, easy to navigate content item, usually text. It's what most people are building is text. And then if you're in openNCCC, it's nice for instructors to be able to give each other the back end stuff we don't want to share with the students. So let me show you an example of a done one. So I'm going to advanced search. I'm pulling up the OpenAuthor resources, just all of them. Got 91 right now, nice. So the first thing that came up is a chapter of a textbook written by Bethany Emery. I think she's at Southwestern. So this is a very good example of what's called remixing. So remixing is when you take a item built in a collaborative tool and then make a copy and customize it. So this works best with other OpenAuthor materials, but if you are stuck somewhere, we can do something else. So Bethany found this textbook on OER Commons. So openNCCC is a microsite of OER Commons. They're kind of one of the big movers and shakers in OER right now. And so we can look at the version history. So we can see on April 3rd, Mindy ported this chapter over from OER Commons. And then that opened up a version that Bethany could edit and customize specifically for ACA 111. And you can see it's aligned with ACA 111 here on the right-hand side. So let's take a look at the instructor view. So we have a lot of information here. We've got some buttons over on the side. This is for other instructors. You can see, yeah, she's at Southwestern. But she customized this for her school and for her purposes. And then after that, we start getting into the content. So this is her chapter. We've got some videos, some links, and then at the end, we've got the licenses and attributions. So let's say I want to put this in my classroom. I've got two options. I can go to the student view and preview it, and that clears out all of the extraneous information. So this is what the students see. And then we have section buttons at the bottom. So this is the first section. This is the second section. So again, we're still in academic planning. We've just moved to the developing inside and outside of class section. And then at the end, we have her licenses and attributions. If I wanted to use it in the LTI, so like pull it in through the connection between the LMS and here, I can go to the Save button. And I recommend that you make a folder for each class, just to keep your head on straight. So I'm going to call this April 1, 2022. Create and save. And so I've saved a copy of this into my folder. So we're going to deal with that in a little bit. Let's get out of here. So let's say I like this, but I want to customize it. I want to make it work for my class at my school. I hit the remix button. Now this is possible because Bethany has given us permission to do so. If somebody doesn't want you to edit it, this button is not there. So it's really hard to wander into something you're not supposed to. So she's given us permission. I'm going to change this and edit it for my class. This makes an identical copy. It's leaving Bethany's copy unchanged, but it's kind of making a paper trail. So if somebody wants to look at the version history of mine, they can go back to Bethany's and see where I've made changes. But let's say, exploring an academic program and connecting your advisor, she's calling out SCC specifically. I can delete that, put in my school. I can put in links to my course catalog, my advisors, my credential options, customize it for my needs. And then when I'm done, I can publish it and save it, and then share it with my students. Does that make sense so far? And does anybody have any questions? All right, so we're gonna have to open up my email. I think I got to get a link. Blackboard, oh, maybe this will work. Oh, this works. I'm still logged in. Perfect. So remember, I saved Bethany's book into a folder. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull that into my Blackboard course. Moodle works very similarly. If you'd like to see Moodle called out, we can definitely do that. I don't have access to a Canvas class, but it works pretty much the same way. So I'm going to head over to content. And there we go. And make sure edit mode is on. I always get stuck there. And I scroll to the end. It's like, where's my button? All right. So I'm going to go to build content. And let's find it. So you will have fewer tools, hopefully. I am looking for openNCCC. So this is a testing site. It is very ugly. Here we go. So I'm pulling in the openNCCC interface. I'm going to go to my items. And here's my folders along the left-hand side, but I want this one. It's right on the top. So whatever you most recently pulled in comes in at the top. I'm going to select it. Come on, buddy. All right, and here it is. And here's what it looks like inside a Blackboard. Again, Moodle, Canvas, very similar, very similar. The advantage of the LTI connection is your students aren't leaving the LMS, right? It's tracking them and indicating how much time they're spending on something. And the benefit is your students aren't wandering around an ebook. They get dropped right where they need to go. So I'm in section 2, section 3, and I'm done. And I'm going to go back to my content. So most of these things here at the end are things I've already pulled in. So this is a VScope course item. Come on. And this is the microscope. So we click on it. And we've got to sign in on this one. We have some additional passwords here. And then you can see the little slide from the microscope pulled up. I got to turn on the light. There we go. And then I can zoom in if I want to. But what I really like, what Gary did such a fabulous job on this, we have a nice description on the side, and we can scoot around and see all the stuff he's done in here. Let's see what else we've got. Easy to go, easy to go. I think this one's a video. Yep. So this is a Vimeo video, and he closed captioned it. So
in this video, we will explore the
stop hearing. And all right, and as you can see, you'll pull up the captions. And that one's on an artery and vein. And and here is about writing. This is one of the Press books. And this one, perfect. You can see this is that leaning page we saw before. So students can read it in line. They can also download this one as an EPUB, a digital PDF, a print PDF, or a MOBI. That's because the author, her name is Robin Jeffrey, she allowed this to happen. So we're following her permissions. So let me get back over here. And let's take a quick look at support, and then the rest of our time will be for whatever you'd like to see. So you've got some easy support options at its most basic. On the right-hand side, everywhere inside openNCCC, you have this support button. Then you click on that and put in your email, a subject, put in what you need, say you're not a robot, and then hand that in. That goes to a mailbox that my team manages. So please be kind. That's going to real people. And we will get back to you as soon as we can. If you need, if you want to browse, you can go to the Help Center and browse by subject area. So is this one it? Yep. So if you're curious, so I run workshops just on Creative Commons licensing, and we go through some in-depth examples. If you want to get a head start, you can check out the different types of Creative Commons license, and you can view the deed, which is kind of a plain language summary. And if you have more of a legal background than me, you can view the legal code. And it is very in-depth, which sometimes is what you need. Let's get out of usage rights. And we have some getting started information, searching, submitting, creating, remixing, evaluating, profiles, groups, and integration tools. And these are all a mix of written documentation and video documentation. In addition, on the homepage, you can scroll to the bottom and you can see the videos we made. So these are the heavy hitters that we thought people needed most often. So adding it to Blackboard, adding it to Moodle, and using OpenAuthor. And if you are curious, we have our acceptable use policy, privacy policy, and governance documents at the bottom. All right, so we've got about 15 minutes left. What would be good to see next? And feel free to use your microphone. Or anything you'd like to see again, or anything like that.
All participants have been given access to unmute, so feel free to speak if you'd like.
We can just chit chat too. It's not a problem. So
this was helpful, Elizabeth. This is Kate from Beaufort. This was
good.
helpful. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad. Well, if everybody is good, you can feel free to get back to your day. I can definitely hang out if anybody wants to see anything.
Thank you so much for your time in sharing this. And just to let everyone know, if, again, if you have anything that you would like to share with our First Fridays, anything you've been doing, even with OER or just something in your classes, please feel free to contact me. I'm Emily, by the way. I know the name says it's 380L, but this is Emily Holiday. Just let me know. I'd love to, continue these First Fridays webinars, get them up and running, and just have one every month. to share something across the community college system. I do have a couple, we got one more definitely planned in May, and then I do have a couple in the works for June and July. So August, September, October, and on, if you are free and you have something you want to share, please get in touch with me. And we love to have you. But thank you all again. Thank you, Liz, for sharing. And y'all enjoy the rest of your day and the weekend.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.